She knew that if she were to really elope with him, her father wouldn't forgive her. Similarly, she would be bullied often as that man didn't have the strength to protect her. Her heart throbbed violently in pain as she thought about that. It would have been great if he wasn't a trash. She didn't wish he had an outstanding talent. It would suffice for her if he could just protect her. If that was the case, she would have dared to elope with him. Are you still thinking about that man? Wu Xian glanced at his daughter and snorted coldly. He has the same surname Xiao, but the disparity between him and the Xiao family is too great. He is just a trash. He isn't worthy for you to keep thinking about him. That's right, your fiancé Lin Yu will also be accompanying us. You should take advantage of this period of time to develop feelings with him. Wu Qingshui lowered her gaze slightly and nodded. Father, your daughter understands. Your daughter has already given up on him that day, so she won't continue to think about him. The reason her father said he wouldn't be from the Xiao family even when he had the same surname was because it was impossible for a trash to appear in the Xiao family. If he were to be from that power, perhaps they would be together. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 254, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 3. Chapter 254, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 3. Yue, this will perhaps be the last time Mother combs your hair. I believe Wu Chen won't let you down. Madame Shang Yu combed Ru Yue's silky hair gently, with a warm and elegant smile. Even though her daughter was still with the Xiao family, Madame Shang Yu already felt the pain of her being married off. Ru Yue didn't say anything, just looked at the ancient mirror before her. She used a slender finger to caress her face gently. Her lips curved up into a faint smile. It had only been 2 years since she came here, but so many things had happened during that period of time. During the past 2 years, she had placed everything Wu Chen had done for her in her heart. How could she not be moved when there was such an outstanding man by her side? Her stone-like heart had been softened by his warmth. Suddenly, she remembered what the man had said in an innocent and sincere voice that day. My wife, have we met each other in our previous lives? Perhaps it was really due to them knowing each other in their previous life that they found each other in this world. All right, Yue. It's about time we finish preparing. Madame Shang Yu smiled warmly as she took the bridal veil and placed it on Ru Yue, then passed a red embroidered ball into her hands. She then gently guided her out. Elder sisters getting married. Xiao Chengqing skipped in from outside before continuing happily, I will make a mess of the bridal room today, but... Madame Shang Yu looked at Xiao Chengqing's jade-like face and chuckled, Xing, who taught you to make a mess of the bridal room? It was elder brother. Xiao Chengqing blinked her eyes before giggling adorably. Elder brother said he wasn't home when his brother-in-law stole his younger sister away. It made him unable to interact much with her, so he said not to let elder sister and brother-in-law enter the bridal room easily. So, he told Xing to mess up the bridal room. Xiao Feng wouldn't have expected Xiao Chengqing to sell him out so easily. Alright Xing, don't hold up your elder sister's auspicious day. We should really head out now. Madame Shang Yu chuckled lightly. She had a son, 2 daughters, and now a son-in-law. She should be satisfied with life now. The only worry she had left was that Feng Er was already so old but still hadn't brought a daughter-in-law for her to see. The Xiao family differed from other powers, as no matter how the partner looked or what the partner's background was, so long as it was who Feng Er liked, she as his mother would also like her. Yue, after you marry Wu Chen, you must get pregnant as soon as possible. Mother can't wait to hold her grandchildren. Currently, your mother is reminiscing on the soft and tender feeling when mother had carried you in her embrace 17 years ago. I can't believe that in the blink of an eye, that small, soft, and tender fella grew so much and is now getting married. Madame Shang Yu sighed slightly and her eyes misted indistinctly. Madame Shang Yu's heart jolted slightly. She wiped the corner of her eyes gently before holding Ru Yue's hand as she said with a gentle and soft smile, Yue, let's go. We shouldn't dally any longer. Ru Yue let Madame Shang Yu lead her out of the room. She was still a little at a loss when she thought of how she was going to be a wife soon. In Huaxia, she had never thought of marriage. But ever since Yi Wuchen appeared, changes gradually occurred in her heart. Moreover, she would never, in her life, regret her decision to marry him. Every distinguished guest had already settled down in the wedding hall. All of them, excluding Wu Xian, was from a strong power, so Wu Xian's heart couldn't help but be alarmed and restless. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 255, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 4. Chapter 255, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 4. Ha ha. It seems I hadn't come late? An elderly man's laugh was heard from outside. Following that, an elder who looked slightly slovenly walked briskly into the room. Perhaps to attend the wedding, Senior Dan had specifically dressed up. However, he reverted back to his sloppy appearance due to rushing over. He didn't have time to tidy up as he was running late. When Wu Xian saw this old man's appearance, his eyes showed disdain. An elderly beggar actually came to attend the Shao family's eldest young mistress' wedding ceremony. While he inwardly mocked that late elder, the strongest powers of Sheng domain were terribly shocked instead and hastily went over to greet the latter. Senior Dan, why have you come? If the strongest family clan in Sheng domain was the Shao family, then the most formidable expert was this Senior Dan. Yu Er is my disciple. Her daughter is naturally my grand disciple. Why wouldn't I come to attend her wedding? Senior Dan replied calmly, smiling. Not to mention the rest, even the elders of the Shao family were stunned this time. Madame Shang Yu was the disciple of Senior Dan? This was gargantuan news. Who would have expected Madame Shang Yu, who wasn't an alchemist, was actually a disciple to Senior Dan? In this case, the position of the Shao family had become much more stable. Wu Xian was greatly shocked. Fortunately, he hadn't voiced out his opinion. It was beyond his imagination that this unkempt and slovenly-looking elder was the rumored Senior Dan. While the crowd was discussing, a pair of newcomers came walking in from outside. Everyone's gazes shot toward them. After they looked at the charming appearance of the groom, everyone took in a breath of cold air from the stunning sight. Some girls were even dazed. They had never seen such a man. He was so handsome that it didn't seem humanly possible, like an ethereal god. The devil's snare pattern on the left side of his face enhanced the charm of his smile. He emitted a noble and powerful aura like that of an Azura. Yet, when the man's gaze fell onto the bride at his side, gentle rays of light surged from his purple eyes. His gentleness was really moving. It was a pity no woman could take a fancy to the Shao family members. There was a girl who had been delusional in her love for Shao Tianyu. She wanted to become his concubine but instead met a terrible end. The Nangong family was the best example. Elder brother Shao Feng. Suddenly, a quivering voice attracted everyone's attention in the silent wedding hall. Wu Qingxue pressed her lips firmly together as she looked at the man that came in after the couple, face pale. There seemed to be disbelief in her watery gaze. When Wu Xian saw Shao Feng, he was also shocked, speechless. Why is this man here? Shao Tianyu frowned. He was really displeased with these people for interrupting his daughter's wedding ceremony. Just as he wanted to say something, Ru Yue raised her bridal veil. When the impeccable appearance of the young girl became visible to the crowd, everyone who had previously gasped at Yi Wuchen's appearance gasped violently once more. What did it mean to be a divine couple? These two were probably such a thing. They had never before seen a couple who had such compatible appearances. It made people uncontrollably envious when they looked at this newly wedded couple. Miss, do you know my eldest brother? Ru Yue curved her lips into a faint smile. This girl indeed didn't have a devastating appearance, but her fresh and pure look had another type of appeal. She should be Wu Qing of the Wu family, the girl her elder brother loved once. Your eldest brother? The father and daughter were stunned. It was as though they heard a loud thunder and weren't able to return to their senses. Ru Yue smiled and chuckled lightly. That's right, he is my eldest brother, the young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Feng. Teaser. Ha ha. It seems I hadn't come late? An elderly man's laugh was heard from outside. Following that, an elder who looked slightly slovenly walked briskly into the room. Perhaps to attend the wedding, Senior Dan had specifically dressed up. However, he reverted back to his sloppy appearance due to rushing over. He didn't have time to tidy up as he was running late. When Wu Xian saw this old man's appearance, his eyes showed disdain. Mickey looked at Wu Xian's expression and whispered, "This is a free advice. Take it or leave it. Don't judge the book by its cover. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 256, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 5. Chapter 256, Grand Wedding with Congratulations from All Directions Part 5. The young girl's words struck Wu Xian's heart violently. He was stupefied. The trash Xiao Feng was the young master of the Xiao family? Impossible. But Xiao Feng is a trash. How can he be the young master of the Xiao family? Swish. 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 Countless gazes shot toward Wu Xian. Several people inwardly took delight in his disaster. To publicly mock the young master of the Xiao family as a trash, this person must be tired of living. The nobleman, who gave most of their wealth to Wu Xian to be chosen to escort the Wu family, retreated a couple steps immediately after hearing his words. It was as though they didn't know Wu Xian. He. Senior Dan chuckled and snorted as he said, "There is someone who can call a false Xiantian expert a trash. This world has really changed." False Xiantian? Wu Xian's face paled instantly. Xiao Feng was not only the young master of the Xiao family but also a false Xiantian expert? This blow almost made him pass out. Younger sister, they are people from the Wu family. Xiao Feng walked to Ru Yue's side and purposefully reminded her. Oh. This is the Wu family. Ru Yue patted her head as though she just remembered who these people were. You are people of the Wu family from South Island? Previously, my eldest brother met with danger and had his power sealed while he was away from the Xiao family. Fortunately, the young mistress of the Wu family has saved him, so brother even thought of marrying her. After hearing her words, those retreating noblemen came running back to stand behind Wu Xian. They didn't expect the Wu family would be so fortunate as to make a connection with the Xiao family. Congratulations! Head of the Wu family, you have such a great daughter. Ha ha! It seems we will be congratulating you in advance. The guest stood up and smiled at Wu Xian, congratulating him. Wu Xian was just the head of a small family clan. When would he be able to meet so many honorable people, especially ones who spoke and smiled at him? This made him dizzy, unable to recover his senses for a moment. Yet, it was undeniable that he was jubilant. How glorious was it that his daughter was being fancied by the young master of the Xiao family? How could he not rejoice? Wu Xian was too caught up in the moment that he had forgotten his previous disdain toward Xiao Feng. But it is such a pity. Ru Yue shook her head as she shot an icy gaze toward Wu Xian. The head of the Wu family didn't approve of my elder brother having a relationship with the young mistress of their family and even forcefully arranged a marriage for her. Those people wanting to congratulate Wu Xian stiffened from Ru Yue's words. Reject the marriage from the Xiao family? Just how foolish was the Wu family? So my eldest brother decided he wanted to elope with the young mistress of the Wu family. It was as though Ru Yue felt the crowd's adaptability to sudden changes was too high that she didn't say everything in one go. This ever-changing outcome indeed made people feel a little helpless. She looked calmly at Wu Qingxue as she continued, "It was more of a pity when the young mistress of the Wu family betrayed my eldest brother, and decided to accept her fiancé in the end. Moreover, she just casually watched on as her fiancé beat up my eldest brother who had his power sealed. If I hadn't passed by where he fainted, I'm afraid my eldest brother wouldn't have been able to make it. Even though our Xiao family doesn't mind a female's status, background, and talent, we do expect her to be someone who can love not the status of Xiao family young master but Xiao Feng himself. If eldest brother had made his identity known, the Wu family would have definitely let Wu Qingxue marry my eldest brother at all costs. Someone that had given up on him due to his lack of strength, that kind of girl is unnecessary to my Xiao family." A bucket of ice-cold water seemed to have been poured on Wu Xian's head. He could only feel his body turning ice-cold, unable to even speak. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 257, Wedding Night Part 1. Chapter 257, Wedding Night Part 1. Regret? That's right, Wu Xian indeed regretted. He had thought Xiao Feng was a trash, so he chose to break up the couple without any hesitation. Who could have known the person he thought was a trash would actually be the talented young master of the Xiao family? He seemed to feel the crowd's mocking gaze, making him desperately want to hide under the table from the shame. Who could still be happy after abandoning such a great son-in-law for a nobody? Wu Qingxue paled as she looked tearfully at Xiao Feng. Her gaze that brimmed with grievance attracted affection toward her. She seemed to want Xiao Feng to help them out. Xiao Feng turned his head and didn't even give her a glance. He acted as if this girl that loved high status and crushed the weak under her foot was a stranger unrelated to him. The people of the Xiao family weren't aware that such a matter occurred between Wu Qingxue and Xiao Feng. How noble and prestigious was their family's talented young master. Yet, these people dared to look down on their young master. Such a girl who wanted to stick to the young master after knowing of his status but disdained him when he was a trash didn't have the qualification to be the mistress of the Xiao family. With the capabilities of the young master, he would surely be able to find a much better partner. Wu Qingxue's heart seemed to have instantly sank to the bottom of a valley. This man couldn't forgive her. Something seemed to have mercilessly pierced into her heart. It was so painful, it bled. Even though the woman's appearance wasn't outstanding, her pitiful gaze easily hooked the men's hearts and souls. Your Wu family was so unfeeling and ruthless, but our Xiao family doesn't want to be the same, so I asked my parents to invite the Wu family from South Island here as gratitude for saving his life. But, Ru Yue's gaze swept and landed on Lin Yu's terribly trembling body. After the Xiao family probed a bit, they figured out that this man was Wu Qingxue's fiancé, the one that nearly killed her eldest brother. Lin Yu of the Lin family. My eldest brother has already decided to leave the Wu family, but you still wanted to kill him. It is unfortunate for you that you didn't expect my eldest brother to survive and walk a distance away after you left. He wasn't able to hold on and collapsed in the end though. Coincidentally, I was walking by and found him not long after. If it wasn't for her finding Xiao Feng, perhaps he wouldn't be able to return to the Xiao family alive. Lin Yu's body violently shuddered, and his eyes widened in terror. He regretted previously using such a heavy hand on Xiao Feng. This world worshipped the strong. To actually harm the young master of the Xiao family. How many lives did he have? He wanted to ask for mercy, but realized that any excuse would be useless, as the talented young master of the Xiao family had almost died under his hand. What would his word amount to? Those people certainly wouldn't let him off. Sorrow filled his heart. Lin Yu regretted coming to participate in the wedding of the eldest young mistress of the Xiao family. Alright, I said my piece. Father, mother, I will leave these people to you. I don't want my hands to be tainted with blood on my wedding day. She, Ru Yue, wasn't a kind person. Since someone touched her family, they must be prepared for retaliation. She really couldn't be a goddess who returns good for evil. In this world, no matter whether she was kind or evil, she was just a girl that wanted to protect her family. Ru Yue walked to the main hall after returning her bridal veil over her head gently. There were a few seats at the main hall. Xiao Tianyu and Madame Shangyu looked at each other before walking forth to sit below old man Zhao's seat. Wu Yu, as master of ceremony, smiled and walked forth. He cleared his throat and with a serious tone, he shouted. A bow to the heaven and earth. Second bow to the main hall. May the husband and wife bow to each other. Send them to. At the final step of the ceremony, an enchanting voice came from outside. Wait. Teaser. Regret? That's right, Wu Xian indeed regretted. He had thought Xiao Feng was a trash, so he chose to break up the couple without any hesitation. Who could have known the person he thought was a trash would actually be the talented young master of the Xiao family? He seemed to feel the crowd's mocking gaze, making him desperately want to hide under the table from the shame. Mickey smiled and passed him a shovel. With your cultivation, it shouldn't be too hard to dig a hole and hide in it. Mickey is so kind to lend him a shovel that she paid for $20 that was taken purposefully from the modern world to hear. As to whether he knows how to use it or not, it is none of Mickey's business. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 258, Wedding Night Part 2. Chapter 258, Wedding Night Part 2. A red-clothed figure energetically flashed into the hall. The man's phoenix gaze lifted up slightly. His perfect smile with that stunning and gorgeous appearance made him look like an enchanter. His gaze landed on Ru Yue. This man was even better looking than girls, causing a couple of them to lose their splendor. Feng Jing Tian. Ru Yue was stunned for a moment. Why did this damnable enchanter come? As Feng Jing Tian walked toward Ru Yue, Yi Wuchen gripped her hand firmly. A trace of a sinister aura radiated from his purple eyes. His handsome appearance was as sinister as the underworld when he raised his head to look at Feng Jing Tian. What are you doing here? Yi Wuchen demanded sinisterly. His gaze was no longer gentle like when he looked at Ru Yue. Feng Jing chuckled. His smile was truly devastating and stunning, to the point that the sun and moon looked washed out in comparison. I can be considered an old friend of this woman. I naturally came to congratulate her on her wedding day. He had previously been severely injured by this man and left in a vegetative state for half a year. Not able to move for that long, Feng Jing Tian hadn't been able to locate this young girl, else he wouldn't have been so late in arriving. Point 1. Even though he did locate her in the end, he was still a step too late. Feng Jing Tian narrowed his phoenix eyes slightly. With the beautiful smile on his exceptional face, it was unimaginable that his appearance was that of a man's. In the future, would his wife feel ashamed after they married? Even if you are married or become pregnant, I will still snatch you away. Feng Jing Tian looked at Ru Yue. With a smile that could stun the heavens and earth, he continued, overflowing with feelings, and then, you will become my lover. Love at first sight? This couldn't be, yet for some reason, he kept seeing the image of this girl in his mind during the previous half year. Even her ice-cold tone couldn't make him forget about her. Perhaps he, Feng Jing Tian, had really fallen in love with a girl at that day. He didn't understand what's so great about her that she could enter his heart so easily. Yi Wuchen became gloomy and his purple eyes stared coldly at Feng Jing Tian. He parted his lips slightly to shout coldly, "Scram!" Ha ha! Feng Jing Tian threw his head back and laughed, his laughter shook the crowd's heart. I have only come for her wedding and don't have any intention of interrupting it. Woman, I mentioned this before, one day, I will definitely take you at any cost. Sinister killing intent rose from Yi Wuchen. He merely lifted his hand, but it was enough for Feng Jingtian to feel his killing intent. Intimidated, the latter wanted to leave immediately. He turned around and walked away, leaving the sound of his laughter still echoing in the hall. This sudden commotion made everyone's heart darken. Someone fancied their daughter, so as parents, they should be happy, but Feng Jingtian gave them an uncomfortable feeling instead. That enchanter with a feminine appearance was really extraordinary. Yue, Wuchen, I will dispatch people to go after that man. You don't need to worry about this matter right now. It's more important to go to the bridal room and conceive a child. Madame Shangyu chuckled lightly as she gently prompted, Grandmaster Wu Yu, please continue. The final step is to send this couple to the bridal room now. Wu Yu's creased brows relaxed as he announced the final phrase. It was probably only the Xiao family who would be able to make a mundane stage alchemist be the master of ceremony. After seeing the departing figures of the newly wedded couple, Senior Dan chuckled and walked toward Xiao Tianyu and Madame Shangyu, a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. 1. For those who have forgotten about this incident, you may check Chapter 101. It happened after the pill assembly competition. Feng Jingtian first appeared on Chapter 80 and was first mentioned in Chapter 79 as the guy the previous /Ziyu kingdom Ru Yue saved, but tried to kill her due to a case of mistaken identity. EDAIIE. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 259, Wedding Night Part 3. Chapter 259, Wedding Night Part 3. Yue, so much time passed since that year, are you still blaming your master? Even though you weren't an alchemist, you're still master's most beloved disciple. The Xiao family was in a different state that year. I wanted you to be the head of the medicine sect and find another partner because I didn't want you to suffer within the Xiao family. He had heard about how the Xiao family tried to force Xiao Tianyu to take other wives. But since it was the path his disciple had chosen, he decided to respect her decision in the end. However, the more he heard about what happened to her, the more melancholic he became. In the end, he completely cut off all information about her, so he naturally didn't know about Ru Yue being kidnapped by the Nangong family. Otherwise, with his personality, he wouldn't have been able to endure it. He would have snatched Yue back to the medicine sect and exterminated the Nangong family for kidnapping his disciple's offspring. She would have the most protection in the medicine sect and wouldn't suffer as she had in the Xiao family. Madame Shangyu's eyes reddened. She recalled the grievances that had built up over all these years of watching over her family. She really wanted to cry in Senior Dan's embrace as she remembered. Master, how can Yue blame you? Yue only feels guilt toward you. I did not listen to your word and married into the Xiao family. However, Yue feels no regret nor remorse for being able to obtain such son and daughters in her life. I have never regretted marrying my husband. Even though we had a really difficult start, my husband didn't leave nor abandon me. He didn't mind fighting against this family for me. Senior Dan chuckled in satisfaction. He had gathered all of the information he could regarding this family before he went to them. He had discovered that Xiao Tianyu hadn't taken in other wives. This could be counted as him being infatuated with Yue. But since he underwent closed-door training and didn't want to intensify his heartache for his disciple, he didn't pay any attention to any news regarding Madame Shangyu. So, up to today, he still didn't know she had become the main governess of Sheng Domain. How could his, Senior Dan's disciple be ordinary? Yue, you really have such an outstanding daughter. Senior Dan chuckled bitterly. That little girl Yue not only treated Qing Chu's illness, her cultivation is also with the false Xiantian realm. I was really amazed when I got to know that, at that time. I am really envious of you for having such a talented daughter. Silence. The entire wedding hall became strangely silent. When Senior Dan's words fell on their ears, it practically became a pin drop level of silence. Everyone was so stupefied that they were speechless, and they could only stare dazedly at the sloppy and elderly face of Senior Dan. It was especially so for the father and daughter of the Wu family. They already felt regret to the point where their intestines turned green. If they were given a second chance, he definitely wouldn't turn Xiaofeng away. If he could have gotten a connection with the Xiao family, no matter if Xiaofeng really was a trash, it would have been worth it. At this moment, in the bridal room, Yi Wuqian raised the red bridal veil, his lips curved into a charming smile as he looked at the young girl with such an impeccable appearance. Mu Er, we are finally together. He had already waited ages for this day. His gaze focused on the young girl and his Adam's apple moved up and down a couple of times. A heated feeling burst forth in his entire body. Because he didn't want to disrespect her by taking her before their wedding, the heavens knew how much he longed for this night. He couldn't wait any longer. Mu Er. The man's voice was low and hoarse. Feelings surged forth constantly as he looked at the woman that gazed back at him. His smile became more charming. With a focused gaze and a serious tone, he said, "You will be my, Yi Wuqian's, sole woman and also the last woman in my life." This was his promise to her for his entire life and for eternity. Teaser. Yue, so much time passed since that year, are you still blaming your master? Even though you weren't an alchemist, you're still master's most beloved disciple. The Xiao family was in a different state that year. I wanted you to be the head of the medicine sect and find another partner because I didn't want you to suffer within the Xiao family. He had heard about how the Xiao family tried to force Xiao Tianyu to take other wives. But since it was the path his disciple had chosen, he decided to respect her decision in the end. Mickey, the mother and daughter have such protective masters. I wonder if it is due to having the same genes to be protected XD. However, the more he heard about what happened to her, the more melancholic he became. In the end, he completely cut off all information about her, so he naturally didn't know about Ru Yue being kidnapped by the Nangong family. Otherwise, with his personality, he wouldn't have been able to endure it. He would have snatched Yue back to the medicine sect and exterminated the Nangong family for kidnapping his disciple's offspring. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 260, Wedding Night Part 4. Chapter 260, Wedding Night Part 4. Wu Chen, your body. Mu Yue's gaze landed on the man's jade-like body, which caused her to be slightly startled. I remember your body covered with scars. How did the scars disappear? 1. I don't know. Yi Wuqian shook his head, a slender finger caressing the eyelids of his purple eyes. After my appearance changed, the poison resolved itself. I too don't know how it happened. After hearing the man's words, Mu Yue blew a sigh of relief. To be honest, what she worried about the most was Yi Wuqian's body, so knowing that the poison had resolved itself, she could finally relax. Warm lips, filled with tenderness, covered hers. Mu Yue's body stiffened, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. She closed her eyes, embracing her man tightly, as her lips curved up into a gentle arc. Yi Wuqian put his lips near her ear. Mu Er, I still can't believe we're already married. From now on, I will use my power to open paths for you. His gentle breath and emotional voice made Mu Yue nervous. She held tightly onto the man's hand, gazing deep into his purple eyes imbued with feelings. Wu Chen, one day, I will become stronger and walk by your side. Standing at the pinnacle of the world alongside this man wasn't just her dream but also the goal she pursued. On a mountain not far away, Feng Tian stood against the wind as he looked toward the Xiao family. A trace of peculiar light flashed in his narrowed his phoenix eyes. They should be having their wedding night right now. Just imagining Mu Yue with that man gave Feng Tian an uncomfortable feeling. But that man was too powerful, so he wasn't his match. He. Feng Tian chuckled low. A smile filled with self-ridicule appeared on his captivating visage. Woman, even though you've become someone else's now, I will steal you from him. No matter what, I won't surrender to that man. You will only be mine in this life. Suddenly, an icy voice sounded from behind Feng Jing-tian. You love Ru Yue? Feng Jing-tian's long, shapely eyebrows furrowed as he turned around to look at the woman behind him. This unfamiliar woman looked really pretty, but she gave him an uneasy feeling, with her temperament immensely different from Ru Yue. Who are you? He asked coldly, with a sinister chill in his phoenix eyes. Nangong Zifeng giggled lightly. With an icy voice that seemed to come from hell, she introduced herself. My name is Nangong Zifeng. Elder brother Wu Chen is my man, but that woman stole him, so I want to snatch my man back from her. How about cooperating with me? Don't worry, there won't be any demerits, there will only profits to be gained if you do. Cooperate? Feng Jing-tian chuckled in disdain. My apologies, I don't have the will to cooperate with you. You sought the wrong person. Nangong Zifeng's expression chilled as she sneered. You do want to obtain that woman, right? I also want to get my man. Even though your power is a little unsatisfactory, I still need a person to make elder brother Wu Chen misunderstand. I will look for a way to force Ru Yue to leave, and then tell elder brother Wu Chen that she had eloped with you. At that time, won't you be able to take advantage of the situation? Mickey, while the author seems to want to keep it PG. We can learn from the perverted Shirayasha, FYI, she is a girl, from the anime Mondaiji Tachi Gai Sky. Her belief that seeing a woman's panties is vulgar dissatisfaction and that it's best to leave things up to the imagination. Teaser. Wu Chen, your body. Ru Yue's gaze landed on the man's jade-like body. She was slightly startled. I remember your body was covered with scars. Why have those scars disappeared? I don't know. Wu Chen shook his head. His slender finger caressed the eyelids of his purple eyes. After my appearance changed, the poison resolved itself. I also don't know how it happened. Mickey peeked through the door and saw Wu Chen's body. She squealed inwardly and nose bled. 1. For those who want to travel down memory lane, it was on chapter 19 that Ru Yue saw Wu Chen's body for the first time. It was after he was bullied by a cousin, so it wasn't anything lewd, EDAIE. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 261, Crisis Arise Part 1. Chapter 261, Crisis Arise Part 1. She had information she could use against that woman. If she were to use it, even if that woman had no memory of her past life right now, she would still be able to coerce her. Feng Jing-tian looked gloomily at her. I don't have any intention of cooperating with someone like you. Why? Asked Nangong Zifeng with a drastic change in her expression. Why is he unwilling to cooperate with me? I don't feel safe working with you. Moreover, I don't know when you will stab me in the back. Feng Jing-tian had been apprehensive ever since he first glanced at this woman. That's why he would never work with her, and even felt disdain for the idea. Finished answering, he didn't bother to even look again at Nangong Zifeng, who had a frosty expression, and just disappeared from the summit of the mountain in a flash. Nangong Zifeng clenched her fists tightly. Her face turned increasingly colder. Even after a while, she still remained silent as she gazed coldly in the direction Feng Jing-tian had vanished from. Son. Ru Yue and Wu Chen caused an uproar. They became known as the Divine Couple. In comparison with the bustling Xiao family, the Wu family of South Island was obviously much gloomier. Perhaps due to the strength of the Xiao family's influence and Wu Qing being the benefactor of Xiao Feng, the Xiao family didn't attack the Wu family, but Lin Yu, who had nearly killed Xiao Feng, was dealt with. However, what happened at the wedding event spread throughout the entire South Island, so they all knew about the foolish things the Wu family did. Thus, they ridiculed the Wu family, with some families even harassing them in order to curry favor with the Xiao family. The Xiao family didn't do anything, but the Wu family was ruined nonetheless. There wouldn't be a chance for them to ascend in the future, making the father and daughter pair feel extremely remorseful. If she hadn't forsaken Xiaofeng, then by now, Wu Qingxue would have been the young mistress of the Xiao family, and the Wu family's status would have risen alongside hers. It was a pity that all their regret was useless. Some of their current condition had already reached the Xiao family. They didn't need to be clearly told to know that those families were intentionally trying to curry favor with them. Madame Shang Yu just chuckled after hearing the report. She didn't want to move against the Wu family due to her gratitude for them saving Xiao Feng's life. But as to what would happen to the Wu family later, she wouldn't be like a goddess that would meddle in such matters. Even though the Wu family did save Xiaofeng, in the end, they also allowed someone threaten her son's life. Yue Er, it has been some time since you and Wu Chen have married. Is there any news? Madame Shang Yu's gaze swept toward Mu Yu's middle, an ambiguous smile on her face. She had stopped Qing from disturbing them in their bridal room as she wanted to carry her grandchild as soon as possible. She hoped her daughter and son-in-law would step up their game, since it had already been such a long time since she felt the tender and soft feel of a baby. Awkwardness showed on Mu Yu's face. Mother, how can it be that quick? It hadn't even been half a month since we wedded. By the way, we may leave for a period of time. Madame Shang Yu's smile dimmed a little, a trace of reluctance appeared in her eyes as she inquired, "Where are you heading to?" The central region. That place was somewhere she should head to. Mu Yu chuckled lightly. Don't worry. I will be back real soon. I need to solve some mysteries there, and afterwards, I will come back home. Bai Zai's sorrowful eyes appeared in her mind at that moment. She kept feeling like she knew the man for some reason. Yue Er, you must stay safe while you are outside no matter what. You know your family will be waiting for you in the Xiao family of Shang Domain. This place will forever be your home and will always be your support. Madame Shang Yu's words warmed Mu Yu's heart. She nodded with a smile. I know that. Mother, I also plan to bring the Massacre the Heavens sect to Shang Domain in order to let them train in the sacred spirit spring after I depart. Teaser. She had information that could be used against that woman. If she were to take it out, then that woman would still feel threatened by her, even if she currently had no memory of her past life. Feng Jingtian looked gloomily at her. I don't have any intention of cooperating with someone like you. Why? Asked Nandong Zifeng with a drastic change in her expression. Mickey helped Feng Jingtian reply in his voice, hiding behind his back, do you even need to ask that? It is because you reek of being a bitch, even if I don't know you well. When Feng Jingtian heard his voice behind him, he turned around but saw nothing. Mickey, who was hiding in her special dimension space, giggled at his confused appearance. Nandong Zifeng, who thought that Feng Jingtian had insulted her, had her eyes frosted over. If looks could kill, Feng Jingtian would have been 6 feet underground. If you find any errors, ads pop-up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 262, Crisis Arise Part 2. Chapter 262, Crisis Arise Part 2. Madame Shang Yu nodded and chuckled. It won't be a problem. I will have Elder Xiao help out. Yue Er, you must have been tired lately, rest up. Mu Yu didn't say anything else and just nodded slightly. She had indeed been tired these past few days, and Yu Wuchen was entirely at fault. The night seemed exceptionally silent, with the moonlight like water entering a trail. Suddenly, a voice transmitted viciously into Mu Yu's mind, alarming her so her complexion paled. Mu Yu, if you still want to see your son from your previous life, come to the South Mountain and meet me. You must come by yourself. Otherwise, you will never be able to see him in this life. Son? She didn't know why, but that word made her heart throb in pain. A scene appeared in her mind. As the purple lightning covering the sky came crashing down, the hazy appearance of a purple-clad figure and a white-clad figure fighting against it became visible. And then, a cute boy with all his limbs amputated was thrown at them. His life force gradually dissipated as his blood flowed out. Seeing the child, the two lost their focus and will to fight, so they couldn't withstand the heaven's tyrannical lightning, resulting in their annihilation. This scene was unusually familiar to her, as though she had experienced it personally. Ru Yue shuddered slightly. She didn't know why the sorry state of that cute boy lying in his own blood made her heart ache with pain, like a knife was forcefully gouging it out. South Mountain. Ru Yue clenched her fist before looking at her room. Apologizing in her heart, she left the Xiao family. Although she was feeling incredibly uneasy, she still had to go there no matter what danger she had to face. On South Mountain, Nangong Zifeng spat out a mouthful of blood, then smiled peculiarly. The price of preventing elder brother Wu Chun from hearing my soul-transmitted voice is really high. It will take a while for the damage to my soul to heal, but this will be worth it. No matter what the price is, I'll pay for it so long as I can finally deal with her. If she hadn't done that, then her soul transmission would have been intercepted by Wu Chun, making everything lose its meaning. She suddenly felt a familiar aura coming toward her. When she raised her head, she saw a young girl approaching her. With a cold laugh, she said, "I knew you would definitely come, and as expected, you did. Ru Yue, even if you lost your memory, you won't be able to ignore matters concerning your previous life, such as Bai Zhe and that cute little child, but..." Ru Yue stood silently on the mountain peak as she looked stoically at Nangong Zifeng. She had indeed come due to the anxiety she felt. "I don't know what you're talking about, and I have no impression about what you said. I just want to know, why have you called me here?" "I want you to leave elder brother Wu Chen." Nangong Zifeng sneered. "You just need to leave elder brother Wu Chen, and I will guarantee your son won't be harmed." Ru Yue didn't say anything for a moment. No ripple appeared in her eyes. "I won't leave Wu Chen, just as I won't let your sinister plot succeed." Her voice sounded so resolute that it made Nangong Zifeng's heart shudder. This woman's personality was still the same as in her previous life, never acceding to any threat. It seemed reincarnation was unable to change that. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 263, Crisis Arise Part 3. Chapter 263, Crisis Arise Part 3. Ha ha ha. She laughed heartily all of a sudden. Ru Yue, I knew you would respond like that, but did you really think you have a choice? The stupidest decision you could have ever made was coming here today. Do you think you can still leave this place? I've already set up a trap as I was waiting for you. Ha ha. Ru Yue narrowed her eyes slightly and replied stoically, "I know that, and still I came. I will find the boy's location, and also continue to stay with Wu Chen, but..." It was a risky decision she had made this time, but she didn't regret it. Nangong Zifeng sniggered. This girl was indeed powerful in her previous life, but the disparity between her past and current powers was too much. She was no longer that peerless expert in the Qijia Central region. Right now, she was just a soft fruit that could be squashed at any time. Ru Yue, I will make you leave elder brother Wu Chen at any cost. Nangong Zifeng's body moved in a flash, a coat of freezing aura around her palm striking at Ru Yue. Ru Yue didn't have time to speak and just stared at Nangong Zifeng. The instant the palm hit her body, the bone-piercing cold turned her complexion pale. Put! A mouthful of blood landed on Nangong Zifeng's face. Nangong Zifeng wiped off the blood, with disgust. Like a powerful tempest, her body released a frosty aura which coated the surrounding grasses and trees with a layer of ice. Her jade-like hand repeatedly struck the young girl, who was overwhelmed by her aura and was forced to retreat till the edge of the seemingly bottomless cliff. As she focused on Nangong Zifeng, Ru Yue's eyes suddenly lit up. However, that light disappeared so quickly that Nangong Zifeng didn't even notice it. Seeing the previously powerful senior Yu now a young girl whom she could pressure to such a sorry state, Nangong Zifeng laughed with pride and a touch of hysteria. But then Ru Yue suddenly leaped up and threw white powder at her. Nangong Zifeng's expression changed drastically. She heard the young girl's cold voice say, "I've just gotten the information I wanted." As the white powder scattered in the wind, the young girl's white clothes fluttered, and a cold curve of the lips appeared on her exceptional face. "What did you just do?" Nangong Zifeng asked, gritting her teeth with a great change in her expression. Ru Yue looked at her and replied, "It's just a powder which helped me use my mental power to look through your memories. A pity that my current level is insufficient for a thorough search. Fortunately, I still got the answers I needed. Nangong Zifeng, this is the real reason why I came to see you." Nangong Zifeng's expression stiffened. She had really underestimated this woman. But so what? Today would still be the day of her death. "Do you think you can leave?" "Ru Yue, since you've come, the only way out is death." Ha ha ha. Boom. Suddenly, the originally peaceful South Mountain blazed with fire. The fire engulfed the entirety of South Mountain. It made the dark night as bright as day. But these flames didn't give off any scorching heat, just a feeling of iciness. At a faraway mountain range, Yan Jin stopped what he was doing, his black robes fluttering in the wind. He shifted his gaze in the direction of the Shao family of Shao City, with his sword-like brows furrowed tightly. The unease in his heart seemed to want to engulf him from within. It seems like something has happened to the little girl. But with that person by her side, how could she be in danger? Yet, the unease in his heart was so intense, it was unbearable. Hail, Mickey had decidedly to change the sound effect Hong to boom, as it seems to be confusing some people of what it means XD. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 264, Crisis Arise Part 4. Chapter 264, Crisis Arise Part 4. Inside the Shao family, Yu Wuchen's steps faltered, his handsome face going pale under the moonlight. His heart ached abruptly, as though he was losing something. Mu Er. The man clenched his fist tightly as cold sweat started to form on his forehead. Something must have happened to Mu Er. Only she could evoke such a feeling in him. Fire. Icy sky blue flames rose. Inside those flames, she felt like her body didn't belong to herself. She definitely couldn't die here, with her family and her beloved waiting for her in the Shao family. Ru Yue, go die. Ha ha ha. Nangong Zifeng's hearty laughter permeated the sky. The sky blue flames, accompanied by the crazed laughter, became increasingly violent and made Ru Yue feel as if endless frost were wrapping around her. Yet, it definitely wasn't in Ru Yue's personality to sit still and do nothing. A few glimmers of light danced in her eyes as she turned her head toward the cliff behind her. If she were to jump down the cliff, she would have a chance of survival. Otherwise, she would definitely die under this malevolent woman's hand. Power. She was still too weak to keep being pressured. If she possessed a strong enough power, then this woman wouldn't be a threat to her. Nangong Zifeng, Ru Yue, will definitely carve this grudge from today into my heart. I will definitely pay you back for this someday. Puff. Ru Yue's chest was struck by an ice-blue flame struck which sent her flying toward the cliff. Simultaneously, she consumed a pill then closed her eyes slowly. Nangong Zifeng frowned slightly as she watched the young girl falling down the cliff. She was a cautious person, so Ru Yue and her corpse must disappear from the world. She wanted to cremate her into ashes to eliminate the possibility of future problems arising. Just as she wanted to give chase, a familiar figure came over rapidly. Nangong Zifeng's heart shook. She hastily withdrew the blue flames that covered South Mountain and a ray of light shone in her eyes. Nangong Zifeng. Before her, a furious roar that filled the heavens was heard. Under the moon, a purple-clad figure soared through the sky and landed before Nangong Zifeng. Boundless killing intent surged from his eyes. Am I still too late? Where is Mu Er? Yi Wuchen's heart shuddered as unprecedented fear overwhelmed his heart, giving him a domineering aura that lowered the temperature of the night. Nangong Zifeng bit her lips. With glimmering eyes, she replied, "She eloped with Feng Jing, and I saw it coincidentally. But this is great. As with this, elder brother Wuchen will be mine, so I didn't stop them." Upon saying that, she raised her head to look at Yi Wuchen emotionally. This was the man she loved for 2 of her lives. "Elder brother Wuchen, what is so good about that slut? She will only cheat on you. I just heard her say that she actually loved a man like Feng Jing, but your power was stronger, so she chose to be with you. She doesn't have the right to be with you. Only I can be compatible with elder brother Wuchen in this world." Nangong Zifeng gritted her teeth as she said each word emphatically. As a person who lived 2 lives, she still couldn't understand why elder brother Wuchen was still unwilling to give her a glance. Senior Yu was extremely outstanding in her previous life, but her power was too negligible now. Teaser. Yi Wuchen halted his steps inside the Xiao family. Under the moonlight, the complexion of his handsome face whitened. His heart ached abruptly, as though he was losing something. "Mu Er!" The man clenched his fist tightly as cold sweat started to form on his forehead. Something must have happened to Mu Er. When he was worried, the person of his target of worry was sunbathing at the beach and had a cold drink in her hand, in modern time. Mickey was lying beside her, enjoying herself with Ru Yue. Mickey asked, "Hey Ru Yue, do you like here? Why don't you continue to stay here then? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 265, Crisis Arise Part 5. Chapter 265, Crisis Arise Part 5. Elder Brother Wuchen. Nangong Zifeng didn't seem to see the flames of anger his purple eyes were emitting as she walked slowly toward him. With eyes filled with feelings, she continued, "If you marry me, I promise I won't cheat on you. I am better than that despicable woman Mu Yue by several times. She has had such fickle feelings and doesn't have the right to marry you. I don't care if you have any sexual relations with other women or men. I will give you the dignity of a man and allow you to obtain your just deserts. Mu Yue has always forbidden you from taking in other wives as she doesn't love you. If a person really loves another, she will accept anything her beloved does, even if it let her down. Moreover, she will also be willing to share her husband with other girls due to true love." Actually, it wasn't that Nangong Zifeng didn't care, just that she understood what kind of woman a man needed. As a man, how could one not have an affair? Men love to have a change in taste after having dined on a woman often enough. It was a common thing among all men that they loved a kind and diligent woman to stay and tend well to their home for them. It was only the possessive Mu Yue who clung selfishly onto elder brother Wuchen. If it wasn't for her, why would she be alone at the end of her previous life? Hence, her hatred for Mu Yue didn't fade after so many years had passed. Boom! Yi Wuchen raised his hand and a black ray of light shot out from his sleeve. Puff, dot. It pierced through Nangong Zifeng's chest. Multiple sinister winds struck against her body and she didn't have any chance of fighting back. TCHW. Nangong Zifeng spat out a mouthful of blood as her body was sent flying backward. She stared in astonishment at Yi Wuchen. The pain in her heart made her claw the ground viciously. Yi Wuchen, will only belong to Mu Yue in this life and for eternity. It wasn't that Mu Yue was his woman, but that he was her man. The tone of his voice was enough to express Mu Yue's position in his heart. He was willing to abandon the world and everything. The sole thing he couldn't abandon was just that woman. He had even wanted to scrap his power to protect her. What more could be said about his feelings for her, Even if she could be exchanged for the world, he wouldn't accept that. There were countless women in the world, but he was only willing to have one his entire life and for all eternity. Where is Mu Er? Yi Wuchen's gaze turned gloomy. The devil's snare pattern on his face made him look increasingly demonic. His purple eyes gazed coldly at Nangong Zifeng as he shouted with killing intent bursting forth, "Don't make Ben Wang ask that again." Nangong Zifeng's heart hurt unbearably. The man she was so deeply in love with treated her in such a fashion, all for another girl. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, she raised her head and laughed crazily. Sorrow could be heard in her laughter. Yi Wuchen, she has already died. She died under my ghost flames. Ha ha ha. So what if you are deeply in love with her? She has already died and vanished from this world. You will never be able to be with her again. Since he didn't believe that she had eloped with someone, I will make him think that she had died. Even if it was hatred, this man would remember her, Nangong Zifeng, throughout his life. Yi Wuchen didn't say anything. His purple eyes were terrifyingly gloomy in this dark night. His body burst forth with a domineering aura, and his killing intent pervaded out, making Nangong Zifeng feel as though her life wasn't in her hands. Teaser. Elder Brother Wu Chen. Nangong Zifeng didn't seem to see the flames of anger emitting from his purple eyes as she walked slowly toward him. With eyes filled with feelings, she continued, "If you marry me, I promise I won't cheat on you. I am better than that despicable woman Ru Yue by several times. She has had such fickle feelings and doesn't have the right to marry you. I don't care if you have any sexual intercourse with other women or men. I will give you the dignity of a man and allow you to obtain your just deserts. Ru Yue has always forbidden you from taking in other wives as she doesn't love you. If a person really loves another, she will accept anything her beloved does, even if it let her down. Moreover, she will also be willing to share to her husband with other girls due to true love." Actually, it wasn't that Nangong Zifeng didn't care, just that she understood what kind of woman a man needed. Mickey adds in her delusional mindset. If she really thinks that, then why did she try to kill off MRY? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 266, Crisis Arise Part 6. Chapter 266, A Crisis Arise Part 6. Boom. Boom. The man didn't kill Nangong Zifeng immediately, but tortured her with blow after blow landing on her body. It was as though he wanted to vent his anger on her. This girl made a move on Mu Er. Regret, self-blame, sorrow, and despair filled the man's heart. He was too careless for not noticing Mu Er's departure. Otherwise, Mu Er wouldn't have been in danger. Everything was his fault. Nangong Zifeng, you ought to die. Even if your corpse were to be cut into countless pieces, you still wouldn't be comparable to a single hair of Mu Er's. Did you think I will remember you even if it was through eternal hatred? You are too stupid. You only make Ben Wang unable to be at peace forever. Pain. Nangong Zifeng felt bone-shattering pain. But her physical body's pain was incomparable to the pain of her heart. This man had really hurt her too deeply, but even so, she was still unable to hate him. Hiss. The immense pain made her take in a breath, but she couldn't do anything other than receive the blows that were covered with a layer of black light. A trace of blood trickled from the corner of her lips and her delicate body shuddered. Limitless sorrow and a thick layer of despair was expressed on her exceptional face. No! I can't die here. Nangong Zifeng's heart was shrieking. She knew that if she were to die, Yi Wuchen would turn memories of her into ashes and have her disappear from the world, making himself unable to remember her. How could she be willing to have the man she was in love with forget her completely? That pain would be unbearable. Blood mist technique? You want to use the same method to escape again? It is a pity that I won't allow the same mistake to occur twice. Yi Wuchen's purple eyes were increasingly cold and sinister. With a wave of his palm, he stopped Nangong Zifeng from executing her secret technique. If it wasn't for this woman escaping previously, Mu Er wouldn't be in danger. Anyone that touched a single hair of Mu Er's would definitely pay for it with manifold suffering. Despair was evident on Nangong Zifeng's face. If she knew Yi Wuchen would arrive so quickly, she definitely wouldn't have done such a risky thing today. It was a pity no medicine existed that could treat regret in this world. Suddenly, a sharp ray of light shot over from one side. Yi Wuchen's gaze chilled as he raised his hand to block that light. Taking that opportunity, Nangong Zifeng escaped from his hands and bit her tongue viciously to form a blood mist. When the night wind blew and the blood mist scattered, the girl had already disappeared from the south mountain. Anger surged in Yi Wuchen's eyes. He lifted his gaze to the figure which turned to run. All of his domineering aura burst forth. The devil's snare pattern that covered half of his face made him look as though he had just come out from hell. He looked sinisterly charming and mysterious. Sect leader of the Saintess sect. This man had gone missing for such a long time and the members of Ghost Manor were unable to locate him. So, he had worked together with Nangong Zifeng. Now, it was no longer a wonder why Nangong Zifeng knew his situation so well. He was the one behind Nangong Zifeng's back. Darn! The sect leader was alarmed and turned pale. He had experienced Yi Wuchen's power before. He wasn't a match for this man, so he wanted to escape after saving Nangong Zifeng. However, he didn't have the blood mist technique Nangong Zifeng possessed. Purple robes soared through the sky and landed behind the sect leader. Yi Wuchen mercilessly gripped the other's shoulder, and traces of sinister aura burst forth. Hon! A palm struck on the sect leader's shoulder with Yi Wuchen's free hand. Teaser. Boom! Boom! The man didn't kill Nangong Zifeng, but tortured her with blow after blow landing on the pale girl. It was as though he wanted to relieve his anger on her. This girl made a move on Mu Er. Regret, self-blame, sorrow, and despair filled the man's heart. He was too careless for not noticing Mu Er's departure. Otherwise, Mu Er wouldn't have been in danger. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 267, Crisis Arise Part 7. Chapter 267, Crisis Arise Part 7. The sect leader screamed as he felt heart-wrenching pain, turning around to strike a palm at Yi Wuchen. Yi Wuchen didn't dodge it and instead went forth to counter the attack. PFF. His large hand penetrated the sect leader's chest, forcefully digging out a heart dripping with blood. Your life shall be your payment for rescuing Nangong Zifeng. His voice was sinister and cold, full of killing intent. The sect leader's eyes widened in astonishment. He hadn't expected that he wouldn't even have the chance to escape, thinking that he could at least keep his life. Moreover, he hadn't yet figured out how Yi Wuchen became so strong and would no longer have the life to think about that now. If he had a second chance, he would definitely stay out of Yi Wuchen's sight forever. Yi Wuchen turned around slowly, looking at the silent night, with a heavy heart. Mu Er. His thoughts had been muddled with fury at the start, calming down only after violently beating up Nangong Zifeng. Even though it was faint, he could still feel that Ru Yue was alive. That was enough. No matter where she was now, even if he had to scour every inch of the world, he would find her. And when he did, he wouldn't allow anyone to ever hurt her in the slightest. Sun. Central Region. A silver-robed youth stood on a nameless mountain. His lips curved in a gentle line on his handsome face. He didn't have looks as charming as Yi Wuchen's, yet his lax and noble aura as well as his eyebrows raised in a smile were identical to the latter's. 10 years. It has been 10 years since I've awakened. If it were to be counted based on the passage of time here, it should be about 1,000 years. If Ant hadn't rescued me, I would probably be sealed in that place forever. Ant had already left this place 10 years ago to search for someone. I should also leave now. The youth had a faint smile, his ink-black hair fluttering in the wind. He raised his slender finger lightly to rub at his jaw. The easygoing smile at the corner of his lips was so moving. He raised his gaze to the nearby clouds, with a thoughtful expression in his eyes. Very soon. I will find them very soon. Several years of being sealed had made his cultivation abnormally slow, to the extent that it was hard to move the energy. After awakening, it took him a couple of years to recover his strength. Yet, he was able to make a large improvement in his power in these years. The youth laughed. When smiling, his eyebrows looked really nice. It was insufficient to call it magnificent. Mother, I won't let anyone harm us this time. Just by thinking that before long, he could reunite with his family, the youth couldn't help but to perk up. Jubilation and excitement filled his heart. He really wanted to have a pair of wings to fly to her side. No one saw the youth standing on the mountain peak. Otherwise, they would be captivated by his lazy and moving smile. Such a handsome youth was rare even in the central region. At this moment at a pavilion, Ru Yue's eyelashes moved slightly, then her eyes gradually opened. At that instant, an enchanting face appeared in her line of sight. Their faces were so close, which made her expression darken. She gritted her teeth as she asked him, King-10, why are you here? King-10 looked at Ru Yue, slightly aggrieved. You heartless woman. You dare to ask me that? Didn't your man treat you so badly that he forced you off a cliff? If it wasn't for me finding you coincidentally, you would have probably been eaten by magical beasts at the bottom of the cliff by now. I have saved your life, no matter what. My demand isn't high, just devote your life to me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 268, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 1. Chapter 268, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 1. Ru Yue's gaze darkened slightly. She raised her leg to kick viciously toward King-10. King-10 had already predicted that she would make such a move. His red-robed figure moved in a flash to the side, easily dodging her kick. His phoenix eyes were slightly lifted as he looked at the ice-cold expression of the young girl, neither smiling nor frowning. It's better for women to be more feminine. They shouldn't keep on trying to kick a man's private part. Of course, if you marry me, it wouldn't matter even if you'd kicked me there a few times. But your way of repaying your benefactor is truly unique. Actually, Ru Yue really wanted to rebuke him by saying that she didn't ask for his help. After all, even if King-10 didn't help, she was confident that the magical beasts wouldn't be able to sense her presence because of consuming that pill when she fell. How could she head out alone to meet up with Nangon Zifeng completely unprepared? She had always cared about her life, so how could she really move so impulsively? However, it was a fact that King-10 saved her life. She really couldn't repay a gratitude with a grudge. Enchanter, I will return this favor to you, but don't think that I'll develop feelings for you. I, Ru Yue, will only have one man in this life. Except for him, my heart can no longer accommodate anyone in it, so don't even mention devoting my life to you. Ru Yue raised her gaze toward King-10's exceptional appearance. Resolution filled her eyes. The smile on King-10's enchanter-like handsome face vanished gradually. He narrowed his eyes slightly, anger surging in his heart. This woman will really not fancy anyone, except for that man? Woman, there's still a lot of time in the future. I'll make you accept me in that period of time. The smile returned to King-10's face again. He wasn't in a rush to obtain this woman. If I want to go, will you be able to stop me? Ru Yue asked indifferently, with a slight raise of her brows. Woman, you probably don't know where this is. Feng Jing paused for a moment before continuing, this is the central region of the martial god continent. Moreover, I had already sealed your powers before you awakened. Don't blame me for doing that. I only want to spend some time with you, and if you had your powers, I probably wouldn't be able to stop you from leaving. A sinister smile appeared on Feng Jingtian's face as he said that. He was unwilling to cooperate with Nangong Zifeng, but he still wouldn't hesitate to use any method to obtain this woman, but if he was able to forcefully make her stay, so what if he sealed her powers? He would still dote on and cherish her forever, even as a trash. Mu Ruyu's gaze chilled. Her previous feeling of gratitude toward Feng Jingtian had vanished. She looked icily at the beautiful enchanter-like man. Feng Jingtian, you will regret doing this. Mu Ruyu shouted icily, voice void of warmth. Ha ha. Feng Jingtian laughed with his head thrown back. His laughter was very wild and attractive. Woman, I have mentioned that I will make you my woman willingly. You will have to stay in my Feng family for a certain period of time. It will be futile to attempt to leave this place without my permission. The man soared to the air and left after tossing those words out. Mu Ruyu's expression turned increasingly cold as she looked at the fire-like red robe disappearing from her sight. She released a mouthful of air gradually. There was indeed a seal on her power. Although, compared to the seal that Nangong Zifeng had placed on Xiaofeng, it was much weaker. It was obvious that Feng Jingtian had only just entered the Xiantian realm. Thus, even though there was a seal, it wouldn't be able to affect her cultivation in the slightest. Teaser. Mu Ruyu's gaze darkened slightly. She raised her leg to kick viciously toward Feng Jingtian. Feng Jingtian had already predicted that she would make such a move. His red-robed figure moved in a flash to the side, easily dodging her kick. His phoenix eyes were slightly lifted as he looked at the ice-cold expression of the young girl, neither smiling nor frowning. It's better for women to be more feminine. They shouldn't keep on trying to kick a man's private part. Of course, if you marry me, it wouldn't matter even if you'd kicked me there a few times. But your way of repaying your benefactor is truly unique. Actually, Mu Ruyu really wanted to rebuke him by saying that she didn't ask for his help. After all, even if Feng Jingtian didn't help, she was confident that the magical beasts wouldn't be able to sense her presence because of consuming that pill when she fell. How could she head out alone to meet up with Nangong Zifeng completely unprepared? But Mickey transmitted her voice to her, then just say it. Say, did I ask you to save me? You just did needless work and created needless gratitude from me. Say that with your head raised way over to look down at him to the max. For example, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 269, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 2. Chapter 269, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 2. The seal would be broken by itself once she made her breakthrough to the Xiantian stage. All her powers would return to her body then. The only thing she could do now was cultivate constantly. It was a pity that she wouldn't be able to refine pills due to the seal. Otherwise, it would be much easier to break it. She now needed to seek alternative methods to rapidly improve her cultivation. The room door was suddenly pushed open, a ray of light shining through it. This made Mu Ruyu frown slightly, and she looked icily at the maid who barged in without knocking. Get out! The maid froze before saying, the eldest young master has ordered this maid to serve the lady. Mu Ruyu's voice turned colder. Get out! Don't make me repeat myself again. The maid bit on her lower lip and heavily placed basin she was holding on the table. She then turned around and left without giving Mu Ruyu a glance, not forgetting to slam the door shut. She's just a trash yet really thinks so highly of herself just because she has the backing of the eldest young master. It's really a wonder how this vixen was able to seduce the eldest young master. Only young Mistress Lan Yu is compatible to the noble eldest young master. This girl doesn't have the qualification to even be the eldest young master's concubine. Even though the maid said those words after closing the door, it was still heard by Ru Yue due to her tremendous mental power. Trash? Ru Yue chuckled bitterly. It was indeed that case. Right now, she was no different from a trash. This scenario was just like when she had just transmigrated, void of any powers. However, she still strongly believed that this puny seal wouldn't be able to restrain her forever. When the time came, she would make that man pay the price. A trace of frost flashed in Ru Yue's eyes. Her impeccable face turned increasingly ice-cold and ruthless. Young master? A red figure appeared before the maid after walking just a couple of steps. Her heart palpitated. Every single movement of this man was very enticing. He was just like an enchanter sweeping the crowd off their feet. The description of beauty that toppled nations was not enough to encompass his appearance. What did you just say? The man's eyes were sinister. His bloodthirsty and ruthless glare focused on the maid. Not giving her a chance to talk, he severed her head, with a flash of red light. Blood spurted out from her headless body instantly. The man's long, shapely eyebrows twisted as he raised the sleeve of his red robe to block the blood from landing on his body. Somebody! Clean up the mess! Jing looked at the tightly shut door and shook his sleeves before turning around to leave. He was confident that this woman would be his in the end. He thus wouldn't allow anyone to humiliate her. From the start, Jing didn't even look at the maid now lying on a puddle of her own blood. It was as though human life was as insignificant as ants in his eyes. How could some ants be worthy of his attention? The commotion outside was naturally heard by Ru Yue, who just raised her brows slightly, her expression as cold as ever. She was a person that held grudges. That man had tried to kill her when they first met, and from that moment on, they were destined to never be friends. Wu Chen. Ru Yue raised her gaze to the blue sky outside her window. A peculiar emotion surged in her eyes. Don't worry. I'll break through the Xiantian stage soon and will then be able to return to your side. For now, she had something more important to attend to. Teaser. The seal would be broken by itself once she made her breakthrough to the Xiantian stage. All her powers would return to her body then. The only thing she could do now was cultivate constantly. It was a pity that she wouldn't be able to refine pills due to the seal. Otherwise, it would be much easier to break it. She now needed to seek alternative methods to rapidly improve her cultivation. Mickey looked at her fingernails and commented casually, "Well, at least there's a way. Good luck. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 270, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 3. Chapter 270, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 3. After searching Nangong Zifeng's memory, she found the location of that child. Since she was already in the central continent, she would bring him back regardless of whether he were related to her and Wu Chen or not. Ru Yue lowered her gaze slightly, a cold sneer on her face. Nangong Zifeng, Jing Tian. There really are a lot of obstacles in Wu Chen and I's path. Even so, I'll eliminate all of these obstacles and be with him forever. Nobody could tear them apart. Jing Tian hadn't shown up since the day he'd brought her to the Feng family. Thus, it was a peaceful period which elated Ru Yue, who just spent her time cultivating. If she wanted to break the seal, the only method was to break through to the Xiantian stage. Perhaps Jing Tian issued an order, as after that maid was chased away nobody came to disturb her again. However, this peace was obviously just temporary. A familiar aura surged in front of her, causing her to open her eyes abruptly. There before her, a flower-like smile blossomed, one that was filled with charm. Ru Yue, without any hesitation, punched mercilessly toward this face which was owed a beating. Who knew that before the punch landed, it would easily be caught by him? Woman, you've been in the central region for such a long time now. I'll bring you out for a stroll. Mu Yue turned her head away, unwilling to look at this enchanter's blooming smile. Not interested. Woman, Feng Jing-tian's heart became slightly gloomy. He couldn't understand why Mu Yue's coldness made his heart clench suddenly. It felt as though he was going to lose something forever. If he hadn't sealed her powers, how else could he have made this woman stay in the Feng family? Let's go out. Feng Jing-tian's handsome face inched closer toward Mu Yue. His large hands then gripped her shoulders. He had an amiable smile on his enchantingly perfect face. Feng Jing-tian, the successor of the Feng family, was showing such a gentle smile to a young girl. If other girls were to know about this, those numerous maidenly hearts would shatter. He was also being as sweet as syrup. Let go of me. Mu Yue's gaze darkened, and she said coldly, I will say this again, I won't develop any feelings for you. Feng Jing-tian, you will definitely regret what you've done. Regret? Feng Jing-tian smiled bitterly. He didn't understand it himself. As the heir of the Feng family, what kind of women couldn't he possess? Since the past, there were always several noble ladies that tried to climb onto his bed. But he just had to fancy such a cold woman. Could this be that so-called masochism? He couldn't help but try to get closer to this person who treated him so coldly. Even now that this woman hated him to such an extent. Actually, I've already regretted. Feng Jing-tian chuckled bitterly. With a trace of sorrow in his phoenix eyes, he continued, I, as the eldest young master of the Feng family, can't make any decision for myself. The only thing I really want control over is my marriage. Even after I met you, I still met with many women, but they were only tools for me to sate my lust. Only you are the one I want to cherish and protect. If you are unwilling to be my lover, then I will marry you as my wife. I also don't mind your past. I know you are unwilling to share your husband with others, so I promise you that you'll be the only woman for me from now on, but... Mu Yue didn't say anything. She just cast an icy look at Feng Jing-tian. That look made Feng Jing-tian's heart panic abruptly. Those large hands gripping the young girl's shoulders started to quiver slightly. He wanted to continue speaking, but he just shut his mouth in the end. Teaser. After searching Nangong Zifeng's memory, she discovered the location of that child, and since she was in the central continent, she would bring him back regardless of whether he was related to her and Wu Chen or not. Mu Yue slightly lowered her gaze, sneering coldly. Nangong Zifeng, Feng Jing-tian. There really were a lot of obstacles on my and Wu Chen's path. Even so, I'll eliminate all the obstacles and be with him forever. Nobody would be able to tear them apart. Mickey smiled and said, Mickey guarantees it, even if she had to use special means. Eyes narrowed. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 271, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 4. Chapter 271, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 4. Feng Jing-tian. Mu Yue smiled coldly. You won't get the chance. Do you think I'll fall for a man who's trying to coerce me? The moment you did this, you've lost any chance of me ever warming up to you. Didn't you want to know why I've accepted Wu Chen? Let me tell you. With a slight pause, her voice turned gentle as she talked about Yi Wu Chen. Wu Chen respects me and never forces me to do anything. For my safety, he didn't hesitate to reveal himself to the Saintess sect and go against their experts. Furthermore, he never asked for any repayment for all that he had done. When I was drugged with an aphrodisiac once, he could have used the chance to take advantage of me, but he didn't. He honored my will. Just recently, he had a surge of power that was so great it could harm me. So, to avoid hurting me, that man planned to cripple his powers. If I hadn't reached him in time, he would have become a trash already. He said that his strong powers were for protecting me, therefore if it could hurt me, then what use will he have for it? What do you think? Do you think I'll give up such a good husband to choose you? Feng Jingtian, I will say all these only once. I, Mu Yue, will only love Yi Wuchen in my life. If I had to betray him, I would rather destroy my body. The young woman's gaze was so firm, so resolute that his heart ached. Am I a step too late? If I didn't disappear for half a year, would I have had a chance? In that half year, he had really lost too much, since every time this woman was in danger, Yi Wuchen was the one who appeared by her side. Feng Jingtian hid the trace of sorrow in his eyes. He raised his hand to grip Mu Yue's arm. Woman, come with me. No matter what, you have to come with me to a place today. Feng Jingtian, let me go. Mu Yue's expression chilled, her eyes bursting with flames of anger. But Feng Jingtian seemed unable to hear the anger that she was suppressing and just pulled her out of the room. At this moment, nobody knew the billowing of his heart. Son. Within a tower, a powerful aura burst forth from the front. Mu Yue's expression shook, then she closed her eyes gently. She unexpectedly had an enlightenment from this tower. Seeing that this young girl had turned still, Feng Jingtian released his hold on her hand, then turned to look at her behind him. Enlightenment. That was true, Mu Yue was indeed having an enlightenment. The enlightenment of several Xiantian experts were gathered in this place. Hence, just by entering, she could feel the uniqueness of this room. If she were to stay here for half a month, she would definitely be able to reach the Xiantian stage within the shortest time frame. A surprised voice was heard from the back. A translucent spirit floated to Feng Jingtian's side as he looked astonished at Mu Yue, who was having an enlightenment about the Xiantian power. Feng brat, this girl shouldn't be from the Feng family, right? Is she the one you love? He. This place is forbidden to anyone other than the Feng family members, but if this girl is your beloved, that will be another case. The white-bearded spirit clicked his tongue and lamented, a talent. She really is. Initially, several Xiantian experts broke through here, so it stored the enlightenment of those experts here. For countless thousands of years, any Feng family member that reached a bottleneck in breaking through to the Xiantian stage will always come here to be enlightened. But this girl's enlightenment has to be the best yet. Teaser. Feng Jingtian. Mu Yue smiled coldly. You won't get the chance. Do you think I'll fall for a man who's trying to coerce me? The moment you did this, you've lost any chance of me ever warming up to you. Didn't you want to know why I've accepted Wu Chen? Let me tell you. With a slight pause, her voice turned gentle as she talked about Yi Wuchen. Wu Chen respects me and never forces me to do anything. For my safety, he didn't hesitate to reveal himself to the Saintist sect and go against their experts. Furthermore, he never asked for any repayment for all that he had done. When I was drugged with an aphrodisiac once, he could have used the chance to take advantage of me, but he didn't. He honored my will. Just recently, he had a surge of power that was so great it could harm me. So, to avoid hurting me, that man planned to cripple his powers. If I hadn't reached him in time, he would have become a trash already. Omits 10 million words. Mickey looked at Mu Yue, who was constantly pointing out how great Yi Wuchen is. She face-palmed herself and sighed, Ru Yue, I think that is enough. Can't you see that Feng Jingtian had gone from sad to zone out? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 272, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 5. Chapter 272, The Top Person of the Feng Family Part 5. Feng Jingtian chuckled. His gaze landed on Mu Yue, with a complex expression. He also didn't know why he brought this heartless woman here. For her to break through to the Xiantian stage? Once she did, the seal would break on its own. Then, she would leave the Feng family forever, and he would no longer have the chance of getting her. Ha ha! The spirit laughed suddenly. He clenched his fists tightly as he fixed a stare of interest on Ru Yue. Genius! This girl is definitely a talent. I hadn't seen a seedling with such a strong enlightenment in 1,000 years. Feng brat, her talent is much better than yours. If this old man isn't forcefully using his spirit to remain here by relying on these Xian powers, I may really have the intention in recruiting her as my apprentice. It is such a pity. If I had met this girl earlier on, I perhaps will really take her as my apprentice, no matter what. But, the spirit blinked his eyes, turning his head toward Feng Jingtian as he questioned him. Feng brat, you sealed her powers? It can't be that this girl dislikes you, so you used this method to keep her here, right? You are at least my, Hua Han's genuine successor. To actually force a girl, you really threw your ancestors' faces. Hua Han shook his head as he glared at Feng Jingtian as though he hated him for being an iron that couldn't become a steel. This brat had thrown the face of the Feng family's countless 1,000 years of history down the drain. Feng Jingtian's face reddened. It was as though his ancestor had seen through his thoughts. Just as he wanted to explain, Ru Yue, who was being enlightened about the Xian power, suddenly opened her eyes. Senior, thank you for the tutelage. Ru Yue's gaze swept past Feng Jingtian's face and landed on Hua Han's. Hua Han laughed. Little girl, I'm not related to it. It is your own enlightenment. If I hadn't guessed wrongly, your current power should be at the false Xian stage. It is a pity that it had been sealed by this bastard brat. I am only a lingering spirit that can't do much, otherwise, I will help you break the seal. Fortunately, however, since you have felt the Xian power, you will be able to break through to the Xian stage in a couple of months. At that time, the seal will break naturally. This little girl would make such a drastic improvement after being able to accept so many Xian experts' enlightenment while she was still at the false Xian stage. After breaking through to the Xian stage, her future cultivation would be very successful with the right conditions from then on. She would no longer face any bottlenecks. Even though Ru Yue wasn't on good terms with Feng Jingtian, she was still extremely respectful to the old senior before her that had lived for an unknown amount of time. Senior, if you have chased me out earlier, I won't have the chance to make such an advancement in my cultivation. No matter what, I must thank you for that. Ha ha! Hua Han laughed out loud. Little girl, this old man really likes your personality. It is a pity that this brat of the Feng family had overdone it. I won't request for anything other than to not annihilate my Feng family in the future, in consideration of me letting you experience the enlightenment of the Xian powers today. Upon saying that, Hua Han sighed lightly. This girl was destined to be extraordinary and metamorphose into a dragon that would roam the horizon in the future. He hoped that she would not annihilate the Feng family on today's behalf. Ru Yue smiled faintly. She didn't promise Hua Han, as who would know what would happen in the future. Regarding such matters, she wouldn't casually make promises she couldn't follow through. Senior, I can promise that if no one from the Feng family provokes me, I naturally won't make any moves against them. But if the Feng family offends me excessively, I, Ru Yue, am not a person who will submit to humiliation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 273, Breaking Through to Xian Part 1. Chapter 273, Breaking Through to Xian Part 1. Hua Han bitterly chuckled twice and cast an all the best to you look toward Feng Jingtian. How could he not see that this little girl was obviously unhappy about being kept captive? Feng brat has overdone it this time. Even if it were for pursuing the girl, he should have used his heart to move her. How would he be able to change her thoughts about him if he forcibly kept her, a girl that didn't love him? This method would only make her unable to develop any feelings for him. Ancestor, we have disturbed you. Feng Jingtian cupped his fist. His enchanter-like handsome face conveyed a multitude of magnificence. He turned around and pulled on Ru Yue's hand, forcefully pulling her to his side. It was as though Feng Jingtian didn't see the frosty expression on the young girl's face as his smile became increasingly charming. "Woman, I've brought you to this place. Are you feeling slightly better? Can you accompany me for a stroll?" He lowered his head to look at Ru Yue beside him. His lowered voice even held a trace of begging. Ru Yue's heart jolted, but after thinking of what Feng Jingtian had done to her, her expression chilled once more. She didn't resist, however, and allowed him to pull her freely out of the residence. Feng Jingtian. Under the sunset, the young girl halted her steps as she raised her head to look at the ash-gray sky. She continued in a gentle voice, "If you didn't seal my powers and force me to stay here, perhaps we could have been friends." Friends? Feng Jingtian tightened his grip on Ru Yue's hand. He lowered his phoenix eyes in order to cover the trace of self-mockery in them. "Woman, you got it all wrong. I have never thought of becoming friends with you." What he wanted was her person. Not a pitiful friendship. Ru Yue knew it was futile to continue explaining it to him. This man wouldn't let her leave, so she didn't say anything further and let him pull her freely out of the Feng family. Walking along the streets, Feng Jingtian gazed frequently at the young girl beside him, a jubilant smile on his red lips. For him, this was something to enjoy. If he could interact with her like this for the rest of his life, without much quarreling, how great that would be. "Tell me about the central region." Ru Yue raised her gaze slightly as she asked, sounding neither cold nor warm. Feng Jingtian was elated, for this could be counted as the first time Ru Yue took the initiative to talk to him, so he told her everything he knew. Actually, this place can't be counted as the genuine central region. It's just a part of it. Feng Jingtian raised the corner of his lips. He stared at the young girl beside him unblinkingly. "If we were to generalize the four kingdoms, my Feng family of Feng City is at the border of the central region. The genuine central region is completely surrounded by the sea. The land at the center consists of an area larger than the four kingdoms. That's the central region." Ru Yue's brows rose. This place isn't the central region? How could Feng Jingtian not understand her thoughts? He chuckled lowly. For example, the borders of the kingdom of Ziyu are still counted as within the kingdom of Ziyu. Similarly, my Feng city can be counted as within the central region. You've seen my Feng family's ancestor. My Feng family was originally a large family clan in the central region 1,000 years ago, but after something happened my ancestors fell. The Feng family was also forced to retreat to this place. Any glorious family would fall in time, the Feng family was the best example. Ancestor? Ru Yue thought about the lingering spirit in the tower. She rubbed her jaws gently as she continued, "That senior's power isn't bad. When he was alive, he should have been at the Xiantian complete Great Circle realm." Teaser. Huahan bitterly chuckled twice and cast an all the best to you look toward Feng Jingtian. How could he not see that this little girl was obviously unhappy about being kept captive? Mickey thought he should lure her with ice creams that wouldn't melt in Oreos. It should do the trick, or it might work with Mickey. Kuhu snacks are the best. Feng Brat has overdone it this time. Even if it were for pursuing the girl, he should have used his heart to move her. How would he be able to change her thoughts about him if he forcibly kept her, a girl that didn't love him? This method would only make her unable to develop any feelings for him. Mickey, Mickey agrees 100,000,000% per 100%. But then this kind of thing, I think it occurs in real life too, or is it that Mickey is getting the virtual world and real world merged together? Smiley face. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 274, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 2. Chapter 274, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 2. Including those experts in the central region, there weren't many at the Xiantian complete Great Circle realm. That elder should have reached that level when he was still alive. Woman, I don't have an in-depth understanding of the situation there, but I know a couple of the great powers in the central region. The medicine sect is one of the great powers in the central region, but there are other greater powers above the medicine sect. As to how powerful those fractions are, I of course don't know, as I'm unable to associate with them. Feng Jingtian's expression became serious. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons inside the central region. Any of those powers could proclaim themselves as monarchs outside. Just as Ru Yue wanted to ask him something, a fragrance suddenly entered her nose. The faint fragrance made her, as a woman, unable to resist the temptation to raise her head to look forward. A blue dress like billowing waves. The silky hair of the girl looked so smooth and glossy under the light of the sunset. What was more stunning was the girl's face. With blue eyes like deep water, a faint smile was visible on her exceptional face. Her beauty was like the deep blue of the ocean. The phrase unmatched beauty was inferior to her looks. When the girl appeared, her gaze landed on Feng Jingtian. Jingtian, you're back? This girl had a gentle, faint smile. The beauty of her smile seemed to emit a fragrance. Her deep blue eyes were filled with deep emotions as they gazed upon the enchanter-like man before her. It was as though her eyes could see only him, unable to allow any other to enter. I heard you were back since earlier, but I was rather busy recently and couldn't go see you. Coincidentally, since I'm free today, I plan to see you. You won't blame me, right? The girl looked carefully at Feng Jingtian. With an expression as gentle as water, how could any man resist her? Feng Jingtian's long, shapely eyebrows frowned slightly. He glanced impatiently at the girl's gentle as water expression before saying indifferently, Lan Yu, what relationship do we have? Why would I blame you? Make way. Stop blocking my path. Lan Yu's expression changed slightly, but rapidly reverted to normal. She giggled lightly. Jingtian, are you mad at me? Are you blaming me for not coming to meet you earlier? But aren't I here now? Can't you forgive me this time? This woman, doesn't she understand human words? Feng Jingtian's expression turned gloomy as he snarled in a sinister and cold voice, Scram! That word sounded like lightning on the street. At that moment, everyone turned their heads in that direction. When they saw the bickering couple, they understood. Feng Jingtian had always walked among flowers while being unstained by their leaves, but he just couldn't care less about his fiancée, Lan Yu, who had a gentle and beautiful water-like appearance. It was all due to her identity as his fiancée. He disappeared from Feng City for a couple of years due to his displeasure. Lan Yu's gaze dimmed slightly as bitterness permeated her heart. Her heart had been robbed by him after he saved her, 10 years ago. However, no matter how this man hated her, she was willing to endure the humiliation so long as she could become his wife. Jingtian, I just... Scram! Feng Jingtian didn't wait for her to say her piece and cut her off furiously. Lan Yu's delicate face paled instantly. She bit hard on her lower lip as she looked with despair and pain at this heartless man. He could share himself with others, so why couldn't he share just a tiny bit of himself with her? Even if it were a tiny piece, it would have been sufficient for her. Teaser. Including those experts in the central region, there weren't many at the Xiantian complete Great Circle realm. That elder should have reached that level when he was still alive. Woman, I don't have an in-depth understanding of the situation there, but I know a couple of the great powers in the central region. The medicine sect is one of the great powers in the central region, but there are other greater powers above the medicine sect. As to how powerful those fractions are, I of course don't know, as I'm unable to associate with them. Feng Jingtian's expression became serious. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons inside the central region. Any of those powers could proclaim themselves as monarchs outside. Mickey, there is also one innate crouching tiger or hidden dragon that is not far from you and is before you. R.I.P. Feng Jing Tian. I wish you all the best when Mu Yu gains superior powers. Since you aren't too hateful, I shall give you a shovel to keep beforehand so you can bury yourself before Mu Yu bury you when that time comes. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 275, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 3. Chapter 275, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 3. Feng Jing Tian, what right do you have to shout at elder sister Lan Yu? It seemed Feng Jing Tian's words were too much, as a beauty who was by Lan Yu's side moved to support Lan Yu's swaying body. The beauty glared angrily at Feng Jing Tian. Elder sister Lan Yu just likes you. What right do you have to humiliate her? Her status as your fiancé was agreed upon by the head of the Feng family and our father. You simply don't have the power to choose. Feng Jing Tian narrowed his eyes dangerously. His charming smile turned grim, like a hell's blood flower with its temptation. Lan Xin. Lan Yu's expression changed drastically. She knew Feng Jing Tian was angry. You can't say that, . Why can't I? Lan Xin snorted coldly, then she cast a furious gaze at Mu Yu who was beside Feng Jing Tian. Her eyes contained undeniable jealousy. Who's this woman? What qualification does she have to walk by your side? It can't be that you abandoned such a good woman like elder sister Lan Yu to marry this girl, right? I don't feel even the slightest energy undulations from her. She's obviously just a good-for-nothing trash. The head of the Feng family won't allow you to be with her. Lan Xin raised her jaw arrogantly as she looked at Mu Yu with disdain. Stinky girl, Feng Jing Tian isn't someone you can put your paws on. You should eliminate any thoughts of becoming a phoenix. You will always be incompatible with such an outstanding man. If you want to marry someone, our Lan family has several subordinates. I can allow you to be a concubine to any of them. Our Lan family's subordinates have standards for marrying their wives after all. Such a good-for-nothing trash as yourself should be honored to be a concubine. The most outstanding man in Feng City was the Feng family's Feng Jing Tian. Lan Xin knew she wasn't as beautiful nor as powerful as Lan Yu, so she couldn't be his wife, but if Lan Yu marries Feng Jing Tian, she could perhaps marry him together with her elder sister. How can I let some girl destroy my plan? All in all, she was just thinking about herself when she expressed injustice for Lan Yu. Feng Jing Tian's expression became terrifyingly gloomy. He raised his hand to swipe viciously at Lan Xin's face. Pa! A crisp sound was heard. Lan Xin was sent flying from that slap and landed heavily on a vendor's booth at the side. She looked stunned at Feng Jing Tian, tears in her eyes. Feng Jing Tian, I am a daughter of the Lan family. You slapped me? Lan Xin's heart shuddered violently as she bit her lower lip and glared with resentment at the enchanter-like man. Her resentment was so obvious that it looked as though Feng Jing Tian was a bastard who abandoned his wife and daughter. Slap you? Feng Jing Tian chuckled coldly. I've indeed acted on impulse and dirted my hand. Scram immediately. If it wasn't for you being a girl of the Lan family, you would have already been a corpse by now. I will warn you one last time. It is best that you don't plot anything against her. Otherwise, I will let you know what it's like to live a life worse than death. The man's words were so ear-piercing that it was like a needle had struck Lan Yu's heart. It was so painful that her entire body shook. Tears filled her blue eyes. After all these years, she had already gotten used to seeing her beloved man be intimate with other girls, but as long as he was still hers, it would suffice. However, those girls had meant nothing to him. She thought this woman would be the same, so she just ignored her presence from the start and didn't question him, since she knew Feng Jing Tian disliked it when she meddled with his matters. Teaser. Feng Jing Tian, what right do you have to shout at elder sister Lan Yu? It seemed Feng Jing Tian's words were too much, as a beauty who was by Lan Yu's side moved to support Lan Yu's swaying body. The beauty glared angrily at Feng Jingtian. Elder sister Lan Yu just likes you. What right do you have to humiliate her? Her status as your fiancé was agreed upon by the head of the Feng family and our father. You simply don't have the power to choose. Mickey, there comes another bitch. Well, I love them to come as they always love to dig their graves. Let's invite all of them over to get face slapped XD. I think the main genre of this novel should be face slapping, excluding my main lead's romance. It feels so satisfying when bias get their payback. Folks, there is a lesson to learn here. Treat others with respect no matter who they are, but also don't endure humiliation. If someone were to humiliate you first, they will be in the wrong first, so you won't be judged too badly if you counterattack. If you're smart enough, kill them with your silver tongue. If not, it's time to let our fist fly. Warning, this should not be taught to kids. Kids, just use your teachers as your shield, as once you throw your fist, you will be in deep trouble for hurting your friends, and to adults that are to zero intents that will result to killing the person with their fists. Mickey don't want police officers to appear at Mickey's doorstep arresting Mickey if things got really bad. Tee-hee. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 276, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 4. Chapter 276, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 4. Now she knew she had thought wrong. It had been so incredibly wrong. He didn't mind offending the Lan family for this woman and had even slapped Xin Er. Lan Yu bit her lower lip. Her gaze shot toward Mu Yue. That glance looked so ordinary that her blue eyes were still gentle as water, but Mu Yue could distinctly feel the animosity and fury in the girl's eyes. Mu Yue shrugged her shoulders helplessly and sighed. She was completely implicated by Feng Jingtian. Xin Er, let's go. Lan Yu turned around and walked to Lan Xian's side. Her steps paused as she said, Jingtian, I won't tell this to my father, but you have gone too far. I won't be able to help you now, even if I wanted to. Upon saying that, she didn't even turn back as her fluttering blue dress disappeared under the sunset. Mu Yue looked in the direction Lan Yu left. It was unknown what she was thinking. She was still in deep thought when a low voice was heard. Woman, I'm sorry. Her heart skipped a beat. A man that had always been prideful knew how to apologize? Feng Jingtian, isn't this what you wanted? Mu Yue chuckled lightly with mockery in her eyes. No. Feng Jingtian's heart tightened as he gripped Mu Yue's hand hastily. With a trace of panic in his phoenix eyes, he continued, I didn't expect them to come here. I didn't purposely allow those people to humiliate you. Woman, He really didn't know how to explain himself at that point. If it wasn't for him unsealing her powers, this woman wouldn't have been humiliated in such a fashion. Feng Jingtian swallowed his words as he looked sheepishly at the young girl by his side. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make you stay with me. If you recover your strength, you will just disappear from my side. I won't have a chance then. Forget it. Mu Yue waved and smiled coldly. I will be able to break the seal by myself without your assistance. Feng Jingtian, you won't be able to keep me captive for my entire life. Once there's a chance, I'll leave this place and return to his side. Feng Jingtian tightened his grip on the young girl's hand. But it was as though he felt the young girl's pain, so he suddenly released it. A bitter smile was expressed through his red lips. It seemed as if no matter what he did, this woman wouldn't accept him. But he was still unwilling to give up just like that. Woman, you should be tired by now. I shall escort you back. I'll bring you out for another stroll some other time. Feng Jingtian smiled amiably as he gazed at Mu Yue unblinkingly. Mu Yue nodded lightly. She needed to head back and cultivate rather than interact with this man. Son. After returning to the Feng family, Feng Jingtian brought Mu Yue back to her quarters. He was then summoned by the head of the Feng family, Feng Xiang. Seeing Feng Jingtian enter, Feng Xiang's expression darkened. Jing-10, I heard you brought back a girl from outside recently. That part doesn't really matter, as my Feng family can afford to raise a girl, but I heard that not only did you bully Lan Yu, you also slapped Lan Xian for that girl. Shouldn't you give me an explanation as your father? Feng Jing-10 chuckled coldly. So what if I beat her? I should have killed her for humiliating my girl. I've spared her life today in consideration of the Lan family, but I will immediately make her bleed if there's a second time. Teaser. Now she knew she had thought wrong. It had been so incredibly wrong. He didn't mind offending the Lan family for this woman and had even slapped Xian Er. Lan Yu bit her lower lip. Her gaze shot toward Ru Yue. That glance looked so ordinary that her blue eyes were still gentle as water, but Ru Yue could distinctly feel the animosity and fury in the girl's eyes. Ru Yue looked toward Lan Yu and gave her the take that bitch look. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 277, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 5. Chapter 277, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 5. Impudent! Feng Xiang stood up after slamming his hand on the table. He looked at Feng Jing-10, ashen-faced. He clenched his fists tightly and roared in fury, Jing-10, what is so good about that girl that you would fall out with your father for her? Feng Jing-10 chuckled twice, lips curving cynically. But what he said after was so resolute, there wasn't a single trace of doubt within it. I want to break my engagement with Lan Yu and marry Ru Yue as my wife. Feng Jing-10. Feng Xiang's eyes seemed to be spitting flames of fury. It is enough to play with a girl. If you want to make her your concubine, I can agree with that. But you want to marry a trash as your wife? That's impossible. I certainly wouldn't allow a woman with unknown background to wed into my Feng family. Even though this brat is arrogant and obstinate, he usually wouldn't go against me, his father. Yet now, he actually went against me for a woman? It seems that woman must be eliminated. A trace of viciousness flashed across Feng Xiang's eyes. As the head, he always did things for the benefit of the Feng family. If someone became a threat to his Feng family's interests, he wouldn't let them off, especially that woman who made his son turn his back against him. But he knew that with Feng Jing-10 here, he wouldn't be able to lay a hand on her. Jing-10. Thinking about that, Feng Xiang's expression became gentle. With glimmers dancing in his eyes, he continued, if you want to marry her, it isn't entirely impossible. Feng Jing-10's brows moved, but he didn't say anything as he wanted to know what his father was plotting. But Feng Xiao smiled coldly as he continued, the power of the Lan family is also very formidable, so it won't be easy to break the engagement with the Lan family. Hence, I will need you to obtain something. I heard that the Lan family has been searching for a medicinal plant known as the summoning dragon grass. That ingredient can be found in the Great Dragon Mountain Range in the central region. Once you obtain that, perhaps the Lan family will be willing to break the engagement. Feng Jing-10 kept quiet as he looked dubiously at Feng Xiang. You have such good intentions? Just a moment ago, this bastard was just shouting at him furiously, then he changed his mood so suddenly. How could Feng Jing-10 not feel suspicious about that? Moreover, Feng Xiang had always been known to scheme and do anything to reach his goals. Previously, didn't he kill Feng Jing-10's mother for his goals? Stinky brat, you are my son no matter what. Even though I'm really enraged by your actions and chided you for beating a girl of the Lan family, you should know that it's because the old man of the Lan family is very protective. Isn't that bad for my Feng family then? However, looking at it from a different perspective, I also hope my son will be happy and blessed. Seriousness was expressed from Feng Xiang's brows. He was like a father who was really looking after his son. However, it seemed as if Feng Jing-10 still couldn't believe his words. Feng Xiang was completely enraged, but he didn't show it on his face. I can promise you that the Feng family won't do anything to that woman after you leave. The Feng family wouldn't make a move, but that didn't mean that the Lan family wouldn't. Feng Jingtian withdrew his gaze and looked at Feng Xiang in a sinisterly cold way. I hope that you keep to your words. When I return, I wish to see Ru Yue completely unharmed. If she gets hurt in the slightest, don't blame me for causing a bloodbath in the Feng family. Stinky brat, don't forget that you are of the Feng family. Feng Xiang's entire body shook. This damnable bastard will actually create a bloodbath in his own family for that woman? In that case, he definitely couldn't let that woman live. Teaser. Feng Xiang stood up after slamming his hand on the table. He looked at Feng Jingtian, ashen-faced. He clenched his fists tightly and roared in fury, Jingtian, what is so good about that girl that you would fall out with your father for her? Mickey whispers, because she is the main female of this story while you are just heir in this story. If Ru Yue is the princess, you are a dried-up negligible leaf on the floor. Feng Jingtian chuckled twice, lips curving cynically. But what he said after was so resolute, there wasn't a single trace of doubt within it. I want to break my engagement with Lan Yu and marry Ru Yue as my wife. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 278, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 6. Chapter 278, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 6. Feng family? Feng Jingtian chuckled sinisterly. With slight disdain in his phoenix eyes, he continued, don't you forget how mother died, and why I left the Feng family. I hate Lan Yu, she's just a wife you picked for me. More importantly, I just can't like her due to her hypocrisy. Furthermore, if it wasn't for my talent, will you, Feng Xiang, still look at me? I didn't even want this identity as the young master of the Feng family from the start. Feng Jingtian's words were like needles to his heart. Feng Xiang's body couldn't help but tremble. He was right. The madam's death was indeed due to him. If he wasn't too weak to speak up for her, she wouldn't have died so miserably that year. He would never be able to forget the final look that woman shot him. Despair and misery. It was precisely due to this that Feng Jingtian couldn't feel at home in the Feng family, even hating his own father. While Feng Xiang was immersed in his memories, Feng Jingtian moved in a flash out of the room. His fiery red figure moved quickly and landed within Ru Yue's residence. Feeling the incoming aura, Ru Yue frowned slightly as she asked indifferently, Enchanter, what are you here for? Feng Jingtian looked deeply at the young girl's impeccable face. An unfathomable expression was displayed on his enchantingly handsome visage. I will have to leave the Feng family for a period of time. You must stay safe while I'm away. Ru Yue's brows rose as she replied, perhaps I'll be safer if you let me go. The young girl's words carried thorns that pierced the man's heart mercilessly. But he continued to look as though he was unaffected and smiled. He was obviously a man, yet his smile was really nice. Take this decree tablet. If you are in danger, I will rush back. Woman, do you know? When I was really young, my mother already passed away. Her death, moreover, was due to my cowardly father. Feng Jingtian smiled coldly. With sorrow in his eyes, he continued, to be precise, she practiced a technique which enabled her to raise the dead. The price of which was her life force. When she used her technique to save Feng Xiang, someone saw her. However, that person only saw the part when she turned from a young woman into an old one, an effect of losing her life force. Therefore, the person deemed her a reincarnated demoness. If someone saw a young woman gradually turn into a granny with a wrinkled face, how could they not be scared? Everyone would think they had seen a ghost. Ru Yue could already guess the outcome without Feng Jingtian's narration. The elder of the family declared she was a demoness, who must be put to death by burning. That man she revived didn't speak up for her even when she was about to be burned to death. He wasn't the heir to the Feng family then, his status wasn't good and many people wanted him dead. So, how could he care about others? Even that person who was his wife and sacrificed half of her life to save his, resulting in the aging of her face and ended up being mistaken as a demoness. From then on, Feng Jingtian became unwilling to call that man his father. Me saying all of this isn't to incite your pity. Feng Jingtian raised his eyes to look at Ru Yue. With determination in his phoenix eyes, he continued, before she passed away, she said this to me, if you meet a woman you like, you must do whatever you can to protect her. Hence, I want you to trust me when I say I will be able to protect you and you won't be harmed in the slightest. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 279, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 6. Chapter 279, Breaking Through to Xiantian Part 6. Ru Yue lowered her gaze and remained silent, expressionless. This man did indeed deserve pity, but the prerequisite for it was that he shouldn't have done anything to her previously. Feng Jingtian, the best protection will be if you just let me leave.